What is up, everybody? It's your boy AJ Trip. I'm coming at you with a reaction video. Our good friends at Woke Culture Wrestling have come up with a list, the 10 best WWE matches since 2010. Now, they have gone through some changes over the past couple of months over at Woke Culture, but they still continue to put out some great stuff, and I think this is going to be another great top 10 list. So let's go ahead and let's check it out.
Whether you think the WWE product is better today than it used to be is your call. Naturally, imagine it was my call. It'd be so weird. We have to phone each other all the time. It's strange, really strange. What's harder to debate though is how much better matches are in the modern day, because really they are a much higher standard. You can't knock Hulk Hogan all that much because of what he achieved, but compare his best work to even someone like Roman Reigns. When it comes to what happens between the ropes, the newest crop of wrestlers outshine the past and then some. I'm Simon from What Culture. This is the 10 best WWE matches since 2010. Number 10, Daniel Bryan versus John Cena at SummerSlam 2013. John Cena versus Daniel Bryan capped off what was at the time a very good edition of SummerSlam. Well, not that Inferno match with Bray Wyatt, but that's not that surprising anymore now, is it? Cena was WWE champion at the time, and this may have been Bryan at his finest, especially because of how well the match built. It took its time and peaked exactly when it needed to, and fans everywhere loved it. The Yes movement hadn't yet peaked, but Daniel's popularity was still ridiculous, and the fact he was taking on WWE's Golden Boy just made it even more fun. That's why everyone erupted when he did indeed beat Cena to win the WWE title. It was like all your dreams had come true at once. We even got a shock finish as special guest ref Triple H double-crossed Bryan, allowing Randy Orton to cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase. So we had everything here, including all the drama we love from pro wrestling. Number 9, AJ Styles versus John Cena at Royal Rumble 2017. I imagine it hurts people that John Cena is already in this list twice, but you gotta give it to the man. Had some great matches over the last few years. What basically happened is that over time Cena found himself completely understanding how to deliver in big bouts, and this encounter with AJ Styles was all the evidence someone needed if they hadn't already jumped on the bandwagon. Now obviously it helps he was there with one of the best wrestlers in history, but everything around this was just great. The story, the build, the promos, it had all the momentum you could have wanted, and on this night even saw Cena equal Ric Flair's record as a 16-time world champion. If you want to take a shot at it, you could say this was just a kick-out fest of ridiculous proportions. Who doesn't like a kick-out fest? Number 8, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn at NXT TakeOver Dallas. In hindsight, WWE chose the perfect opponent for Shinsuke Nakamura's debut match. Sami Zayn was not only beloved by the NXT masses, but he was also headed up to the main roster, so this just ticked a lot of boxes you wanted to be ticked. It was a tickathon. It also felt like a passing of the guard, which worked because most people couldn't believe that Nakamura was WWE bound in the first place. This is why they exploded when the former New Japan champion's music hit and continued to roar for pretty much the entire contest. On top of this, it was also brutal, and far more brutal than anything else we've seen from Nakamura since. It was also his best match in the WWE, or at least up to the point of these words coming out of my mouth. Nakamura won obviously, and there's a reason fans started to chant "Fight Forever" halfway through. They meant it. Number 7, the Wyatt family versus The Shield at Elimination Chamber 2014. Before Bray Wyatt dressed in drag and Roman Reigns was the most hated man in the history of the world, we had the Wyatts versus The Shield at Elimination Chamber 2014, and it was wonderful. Aside from everyone being excellent workers, the dynamics of each team were great. On the one hand, you had Ambrose, Reigns and Rollins, who acted like a bunch of alpha males, whereas Bray, Harper and Rowan were more cerebral. It was basically brains versus brawn. But all that brawn, gotta give that a few months. It was pieced together superbly as well, with The Shield going in with far too much gusto, allowing the Wyatts to slowly pick their bones. There was the traditional back and forth nonsense of course, but ultimately the Wyatts won a very heated matchup which helped both teams. When does that happen anymore? Number 6, DIY versus The Revival at NXT TakeOver Toronto. Is this the greatest WWE tag team match in about a decade? Probably. DIY and The Revival were perfect NXT rivals, and while all their matches rocked, this was probably the best. With Gargano and Ciampa wanting to prove a point after their opponents had defeated them at TakeOver Brooklyn 2-3 months prior, they gradually fought back to challenge for the titles once more, which in turn led to this 2 out of 3 falls match. The Revival went 1-0 up after just 5 minutes, but the DIY powered through, tying things up, leading to an incredibly dramatic final fall. The conclusion was nothing short of brilliant. Both teams tried to outdo the other with their own finishing moves, while DIY locked Dash and Dawson in dual submissions. The champions grabbed hands in the middle of the ring, desperate to avoid tapping out, but they couldn't endure. They did tap, and DIY's underdog story was complete. Number 5, Brock Lesnar versus John Cena versus Seth Rollins at Royal Rumble 2015. Well, look who's back again. And his mate Brock Lesnar is here as well. People hate him these days too. What a world. In a way, it's a shame because this triple threat match is so good, yet no one remembers it because it was also the night Roman Reigns won the Rumble and was verbally assaulted by the crowd. We did see Brock Lesnar defend his strap against John Cena and Seth Rollins though, and it really did transform into an all-out war. Lesnar was at his best, Cena fit into the resilient babyface role wonderfully, and Rollins was the cocky asshole who quickly realised he was in a world of trouble. It helped that the crowd loved this with everything they had, and the Lesnar win over Rollins following an F5 was just fine and dandy, mostly because everyone came out of this looking like a hero. Still great now. Go watch it. Number 4, Bayley versus Sasha Banks at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. Banks and Bayley's rematch at TakeOver Respect was the first time two women had ever headlined a major WWE event and is therefore historic. But it's tough to beat the story they told on this night. Bayley was the plucky underdog who got on by determination and hard work alone, whereas Sasha was a cocky, flashy women's champion. She'd even cheat to win if it meant holding on to the gold, because gold is everything. After a thrilling exchange of signature moves and false finishes, Bayley finally broke the glass ceiling. A top rope reverse Hurricane Rana and her Bayley to belly finisher secured the biggest win of her career, and it capped off the perfect underdog story, and it made this the benchmark in NXT women's belts. Number 3, CM Punk versus Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam 2013. Remember how we said SummerSlam 2013 was a great show? This is another reason why, and maybe the reason overall. Punk versus Lesnar was flippin' awesome. Their brutal no DQ match stands as one of the best of either man's career that was helped even further because of the David versus Goliath concept that was clear just by looking at the two. Plus we had weapon spot psychology and storytelling. In case you needed more, they both worked incredibly stiff, with Punk landing some particularly nasty knee strikes towards the end. And while Paul Heyman was heavily involved in the conclusion, nothing could detract away from the fact this was just a very well put together fight. Punk lost, of course, something that would eventually be one of the reasons he walked out of the WWE, but there was no proper loser here. It was just a testament to how good both were as pro wrestlers. Number 2, Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25/WrestleMania 26. You can pick either of these and the result is the same. You've got a couple of classic matches that will go down in history as such. There's very little separating the two, but while HBK and Taker faced an uphill battle to improve on the quality of the first, the retirement bout came with such a stipulation. As we've already established, drama is a wonderful addition to any contest. It got better as well because obviously Taker had something to lose too, his Mania undefeated streak. So all in all, this was never going to be bad. How could it? Have to have made it a three-way with Shawn Stasiak or something. It too became a finisher fest towards the end, and Shawn's third Sweet Chin music had everyone in the building thinking it was over, but eventually we got a leaping tombstone pile driver and the end of Shawn Michaels' career. What a way to go out. Number 1, CM Punk versus John Cena at Money in the Bank 2011. This really did have everything. Even before Cena and Punk clashed at Money in the Bank 2011, the atmosphere was at a fever pitch and there were so many questions around this, couldn't help but be intrigued. It was perfect in many ways and then they both knocked it out of the park. I mean, think what we had. The pipe bomb promo, Punk wanting to leave but also being up for a title shot. McMahon threatening to fire Cena if he screwed this up, a hometown crowd. WWE lucked out with this and also went to town on it. The action was awesome too, but it was the narrative that took it to the next level, and when Punk nailed Cena with that GTS, the place became unglued. There was even post-match shenanigans as Vince McMahon ordered Alberto Del Rio to cash in his Money in the Bank, but that failed as well. Punk had won in more ways than one, and so had we all. So had we all.
I am defiant. I am defiant. I am defiant.
I guess we can. I guess I can be okay with that because that Money in the Bank one 2011 was a great match, and the atmosphere around it was just terrific, and so yeah. I definitely think that. I definitely think, but I still say so. I'm not gonna bitch and complain. But listen, WrestleMania 25, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, his greatest match in WWE history, maybe the greatest match in wrestling history. So I'm gonna say that. Number 1 should have been that, but I'm not going to quibble and quabble with that because that was excellent as well. So, but how about you guys? What do you guys think? Post your comments down below. Tell me what you guys think. Do you guys think they had some good matches on that list? I'm glad to see that AJ Styles and John Cena matches on there. And, I think a lot of those matches were it's definitely something to be worth watching and something like that. So I like that. A lot of matches I need to go back and watch and see, but I definitely thought that was a pretty good list. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, thank you so much for watching. This is your boy AJ Tripp signing off. As always, be good to each other, y'all. Be careful out there. And I am out.